Hello boyos, Rich Boy J here back in with another video, and this is going to be the LEGO Star Wars MOC Showcase Episode 5. This is a series I have created to highlight some of the best MOCs that I've come across on the internet. If you find any of the MOCs in this video impressive, all I ask from you guys is that you go to the links I've included in the description and support the builders by giving them a like, comment, or even a follow. The first MOC we're going to take a look at today is a Kashyyyk MOC by a builder by the name of CreativBricks. The name is certainly appropriate because there are some very creative things going on in this MOC. The first thing I noticed is the completely snot base or platform that this MOC is built on. I've been kind of contemplating whether or not if I did sand in a MOC, if I'd want to do tiles or use plates, which are a pretty conventional way of doing it. But it's nice to see here that, you know, having a flat surface, he did it snot rather than just using tiles, can actually work out for a thing like that. So that's kind of encouraging for me. The other thing that I liked about this MOC are the little pieces of machinery to the right side of the MOC. It looks like he's using those printed pieces on the back of the like AT-ST, as well as some of those from the Force Awakens Falcon as well. So those are some good uses for some of those stickered pieces right there, making little cylindrical pieces of machinery. I can certainly appreciate that. The other thing that is just really insane about this MOC is just some of the things that he incorporated on the like branches and trees and bushes. So if you look at the bottom right corner, you can see the Sabine hairpiece for the top of that plant right there, which I mean, I would have never thought to use that for that purpose, but it looks pretty cool. It looks like it works out. There's also another hairpiece over to the right side. I'm actually not even sure where that comes from. I'm sure someone in the chat will know, but it also looks kind of cool. But the one on the far left is the one that really sticks out. This guy is using a Rancor arm piece for a tree, which is insane. Like, I think if you asked me to design like 1,000 different Lego trees, I don't know if I ever would have decided to use a Rancor arm for the trunk, but it looks actually really cool. So I definitely give him props for being creative, like his name says, and trying a few different things for building techniques in this MOC. It's always cool to see what some people can come up with. I also do find it quite funny that he has Commander Gree on the right side holding a battle droid head. Little did he know someone down the line would be holding his head, probably. R.I.P. The next MOC is titled Cloud Riders and was built by David Guedes. This simply represents some of the swoop bikes from Enfys Nest's Swoop Gang, and they're flying across what I would presume is Vandor from Solo: A Star Wars Story. First thing that really popped out to me was just how good the ship builds look. LEGO gave us a set of 2 of these guys, and I think that they were a little bit oversized, but it looks like this guy got the size It looks like this guy got the size just right, which I can appreciate. So if you guys were looking for some swoop bikes to add into your own MOC, but you weren't super happy with the, I guess, oversized Lego ones, you could definitely look to this for some inspiration to build your own, or just straight up try to build the ones that he built. They definitely look good enough to me. The other thing I really like about this MOC is the use of pieces and elements from other themes to kind of compile the other members of the swoop game. Like, obviously, you have Enfys Nest and Weasel up front, but in the back you have 3 other guys that weren't in a Lego set. And this is always something that we as Star Wars builders have to try to figure out, and it's not the most straightforward thing. Like, there are a finite amount of pieces and elements that we have in the Star Wars realm of Lego parts to really like mess around with and make like unique looking aliens or people with unique armors and costumes. And oftentimes we're quite limited by the fact that because it's licensed, we don't get too many generic aliens and generic costume people. So we can't really just, you know, give this one person the like helmet that another named character has. So we have to look outside of the Star Wars theme to do that. And I think he did a pretty good job at using some cool, unique elements that, while they're not in the Star Wars theme, they certainly fit in with the Star Wars theme. Like that tribal mask from Killmonger that he has on the one guy on the swoop bike. I thought that's actually like a really good use for that part. So I like that the rest of the gang members certainly fit in with the 2 that Lego produced. If we go to the next picture, you can see that there's actually a good amount of detail in those 2 pieces of machinery to the left. I literally have no idea what those might be used for, but builds like these are always quite important to landscape builds. Like, you have your moisture evaporators on Tatooine, and you have whatever the heck these things are supposed to be on your snowy planet. So these are things that, like, you really can get kind of creative with. So there's no like one way to build all of them, but whenever you do it, you have to make it look like it fits in with the rest of them, right? Like it's kind of like building terrain. Like you want to be random, but you don't want to be too random. So I don't know. I just like the little builds right there. They're not super complicated, but they look really nice. So you can definitely take some design tips from there. Also, in terms of the landscape in general here, it really isn't anything complicated. It's really just a bunch of dark gray plates with some white curved slopes on it. But I don't know, the snow-covered dark gray mountain aesthetic always looks really good to me, so I don't know, it's really pleasing to my eyes. Next MOC we're going to look at is a UCS-sized Jedi Interceptor MOC by Martin Latta. I've had the pleasure of actually talking to this guy a couple times, and he's a great guy and an excellent builder, so I was very happy to include this in the series because this thing really just blew me away. First thing I noticed is how nice that cockpit looks. I mean, it is just beautifully done. The angles are almost perfect on it, and it's so cool that he used like multiple windscreens to create the big shape of the cockpit, including that TIE Fighter windscreen on the very front of it. I would have never even thought about that, but that's literally the perfect use for that bigger TIE Fighter cockpit piece, so excellent design choice there. The other thing I noticed about it is just how nice the red design on the general surface of the ship looks. Like the ship is really built on the surface completely snot, which is really an incredible feat in itself, but the designs he was able to incorporate really do pop out, and they just look so nice. If we go to the next picture, we can really just see how intricate that design is. I mean, there are some wild angles on this thing, especially towards the back. Like, I don't even know how like you would even figure that out or get that assembly to work. Like there's definitely some like intense math going on there to figure out how those different slopes would actually fit in together, but it definitely works out and it looks great, especially to get some of those like weird shape details on the surface. So definitely give him kudos for that. The other cool thing about it is the R4P17 head sitting over there. It would have been really cool if you could somehow incorporate like a full version of the droid that would actually sit in a little slot right there, but I imagine just due to how sleek the ship is supposed to be, that wasn't really possible. Also, not to mention that in the film, it's really inconsistent as to how a full Astro droid would even fit in one of those things. So if you look at some of the pictures of it, it really doesn't look possible. So I don't really blame him for not really wanting to attempt that there. But it's just a thought. It could have been something he would have considered putting in this. The other thing that I didn't even know existed on these ships are actually like these gaps that go straight through the surface between the two wings. I didn't really even know that was a thing. But it's cool that he was able to incorporate that design detail there. Moving on to the next picture, you can really just see how sleek this thing is. I mean, the wings on it are like one stud thick, which is absolutely crazy. Like, I'm honestly shocked that this thing can hold itself up, but it can, and it just looks so good. I can always appreciate when a builder can, employ certain design techniques with snot, but then also maintain a lot of the details on the surface, a lot of those crazy angles and like weird shapes that really come together to just make this thing look so nice and so accurate. So wonderful job there. Also, there's a cool use of those like old school A-wing engines at the very bottom to make the two engines on this thing. It's always nice looking at UCS scale things because you really get a sense of just parts and how they can be used in various different ways. Like obviously, like those engines would be way too big to include on a normal minifig scale Jedi Interceptor, but here they look perfect for that. So it's always nice to see those parts used in unique ways. Moving on to the next photo, we can look at the interior of this bad boy, and this is probably one of my favorite parts of the ship. I think the chair just looks really cool. The use of those masonry bricks along the back of it make a really nice pattern, so I definitely like that. Also, the controls just look really cool. I like how those panels towards the front are like angled towards the pilot. I like that quite a bit, and I don't know, like the handles on it look really cool. It just looks so cozy in there. This is one of those ships that I would love to just sit in and pilot as a fan of Star Wars. And I didn't really find a picture of it like kind of far out, but you can see in this picture that the wings on the outside do actually have the ability to fold in. So that's actually really cool that he was able to incorporate that. All in all, this is really just an incredible build, and this literally could pass for a Lego UCS set. Like, I'm honestly shocked that they probably wouldn't consider doing something like this. Like, they went with Obi-Wan's original Jedi Starfighter, but I'd say the Interceptors are even more iconic than those. So, I don't know. I could definitely see them doing a Jedi Starfighter I could definitely see them doing a Jedi Interceptor UCS set sometime down the line. And I don't know, maybe they could even do a 2-pack. Like if they want to make it just a really big set, I don't know, like a $400 or $350 set. I'm not entirely sure how many pieces this thing's used, but just do like a 2-pack with this and Anakin's at a UCS scale. That may actually be kind of a cool idea. The other thing I did want to mention about this build is that on the wings, you can see that like from this view, the inside of them are black, which is accurate. So he kind of has like two different colors on the opposite sides of it, which is not usually an easy thing to accomplish, but I'm glad that he was actually able to figure that out, getting the inside of the wings to be black, but then the outsides to be gray. So all in all, Martin, great job on this MOC. You always knock these things out of the park. Next MOC we're going to look at is by Gamabomb, and it is a CSS-1 Corellian Star Shuttle. I am just in love with this thing. I actually had this kind of queued up for this series a long time ago, and I wanted to review it, and I kind of forgot about it, and then I just recently stumbled across it, and I was like, oh yeah, I gotta put this in this week's showcase. But what can I say about this MOC? I mean, it just looks perfect. The angles are just excellent. It's a pretty round and curvy ship, but he just executes the shape of it flawlessly. Like it looks exactly the way it should, which is just so impressive because I mean this is definitely not an easy ship to recreate in Lego with all of his intricate curves and angles, so I definitely give him credit there. Also, the interesting thing is that this is apparently a 4,500 to 5,000 piece build, which is kind of crazy to think about. Just looking at it, really doesn't look like it has that many pieces, but I mean, I'm guessing it's just like really big if you see it in person. And I mean, I would do anything to see this MOC in person. This thing is just so freaking cool. Another cool thing about it is actually just the coloration on it. Like it's a really cool palette of colors, with the main base color being the red, and of course some of the dark red in there to, I guess, really kind of imply like weathering or like differences in like panels that are along the surface of the ship. So those are pretty cool. The orange in there also does make it pop. I like the combination of red and orange on Lego quite a bit. And then of course there's like the white around the engines in the front of it. And I don't know, I just really like that color combination. I'm a big fan of the color combination that the Republic uses on a lot of their capital ships, for example, like the Republic frigate. So it's cool that they were consistent with it here. It just makes a really beautiful looking ship. If we move on to the next picture, we get a really good view of those three big engines on the back of it. And I mean, just the way everything flows together is just so nice. I mean, like I said, this is definitely a pretty complicated ship when it comes to like the angles and various designs on it. But this guy just really made it work in Lego, and I'm just so impressed with this thing. I wish there was a better picture because it looks like there's actually some pretty cool greebling on the back of it in like black pieces between those engines, but this is literally the best picture I could find of the back side of it. But still does look really good. If you move on to the next picture, now this is the one that really makes me giddy. It has an interior. You guys know that I just love interiors, and on a shuttle like this, I mean, why would you not have an interior? It's primarily a transport shuttle, so you would hope that you could kind of get across the idea that, yeah, it's transporting things or people. So I like how he's kind of filled it out with a few Jedi. I believe this was the ship that was used at the end of A New Hope, once the Jedi make their way to Naboo, right after the Battle of Naboo. And I thought it was just kind of cool that he threw some Jedi in there, as well as one of the Senate guards got Mace and Plo Koon chilling in the back enjoying some drinks. And I think Yoda is up front also enjoying a drink. And I mean, why would it not be a green drink, right? Also, it looks like up front there's like a little control panel and some other types of machinery up there. Like I said, these pictures aren't amazing. It's kind of hard to see a lot of the details in there, which is really a shame, because it looks like the builder put quite a bit of work into it. But I mean, I don't think that detracts too much from it. You can certainly get a pretty good idea of all that this ship has to offer from a lot of the pictures that he took. And this thing just makes me so happy. I really wish the instructions for this build were out there. I would absolutely build one of these for myself. I always love these types of shuttles in Star Wars, and I mean, this is easily the best one I've ever seen recreated in Lego. If we go to the last picture, we get a good view of the interior of the like main cockpit area, and I think it's cool that he used that like Republic pilot figure, or at least like the clothes and the hat from the faces, obviously Obi-Wan's. But yeah, like I think, you know, it's pretty cool that it opens up, and it makes sense that there would be a pilot up there. And I mean, also impressed that he was able to do that while also like maintaining those really intricate shapes of the like front area, because the front is really the most round part of this ship. So Like, it would be really difficult to build in those shapes, but to do that, but also include an interior and like leave it really, for the most part, hollowed out up there, it's just really an impressive feat, and I cannot say enough good things about this ship. This thing is freaking amazing, and like I said, I really just want one of these for myself so bad. And that's going to finish up the video today, guys. I hope that you enjoyed these MOCs that I shared with you. Like I always say, if you guys don't do anything when it comes to these videos, just make sure you go and support the builders. I have all the links to these builds in the description of this video, so if you like any of them, go check them out. Support the builders. They deserve all the credit in the world for these amazing builds, and I want to ensure that they get it. If you guys haven't already, make sure you smash the like button to support the video, hit the subscribe button to support the channel, and I'll be back again very soon.